Hi, my name is Cheryl Brunette, and thank you for stopping by my knitting channel, where you can find tips and techniques, full workshops, and answers to your most perplexing sweater questions. Today I want to talk about patterns. I have been knitting for 60 years, but only seriously for about the last 58. And in the last 40 years or so, I have followed exactly fewer patterns than I can count on both hands. Maybe 5, maybe 7. By that I mean I've looked at the pattern, I found the yarn, I matched the gauge, and I knit exactly what they told me to knit. And I knit a great deal. So how did I manage that? And what are patterns really? The first thing I'm going to show you is one of the patterns that I have followed many times. By many, I mean at least a dozen times. And I follow it exactly. And it is for this little felted basket by the Cat Bordy. This is her Mobius basket, and it is a cunning pattern. You'd have to do a Mobius cast on. It's just a second. I have what it looks like before it gets felted. This is what it looks like before you beat the heck out of it in the washing machine and get this. This calls for Manos del Uruguay. This one I varied by putting ran a sparkly thread through it. I think you can see that in the light. This one is plain Manos del Uruguay. For this one I did not use Manos yarn. Instead, I used Harrisville Tweed, and I started with 3 strands of the pale yellow, then I went to 2 strands of the pale yellow and added in one of the darker yellows. It's kind of a gold. Then I went to 2 strands of the gold and 1 strand of the yellow, etc., etc. I changed the colors all the way down until I got to 3 strands of the red, and I love it. Another way you can use a pattern, or another way I use patterns, is I adapt them. This is an Afghan, and it is based on a Lion brand pattern, but I changed it considerably. I had never used any of this self-striping yarn before. This one's called Amazing. I went online and I saw this, and it was reasonably priced, and I wanted to make, they had 2 versions. They had a crochet version and a knit version. And this was the crochet version, and this is the one that I wanted to make. You can see there's a big block, and then there are 4 small blocks, and then another big block. It turns out I hated crocheting it. Well, hate is a strong word. I didn't like to crochet it because it's got a little bit of fuzz to it, a little bit of hair hanging off of it. So when I crocheted it, it was snagging every time because you have to pull multiple loops through. So it wasn't comfortable for me. It wasn't easy. Whereas when I put it on knitting needles, it just was a dream. This is the mitered square pattern for the knitted version, because they had both the knitted and the crocheted version. But this has a lot of little teeny tiny jaggedy things along the edge and small things. And this, for my style, was a little too busy. I am more of a tailored kind of person. So I adapted their crochet pattern, to knitting instead. But there are times when I don't even use a pattern at all, where I create my own. This is an example. I set up a little pattern. I went to Sweater 101, which is my main resource for doing such things as this. And I drew a little pattern in a size 2 roughly, and then one was in a size 3. And I cast on what I thought would be enough stitches. And when I got up to about there, I measured how wide it was, and then I cast the rest of the pattern from that width. So you see, patterns are tools. They are lessons from knitters who have taken a particular yarn, have knitted up a particular way to get their gauge, and they want to share with you, and something that gets a particular size, and they want to share with you how they got that particular product. They can be inspiring, they can be cunning, like Cat Bordy's are, or they can be disheartening, because you can work all you want to get that gauge and not be able to get that. So I suggest to you that you practice your skills of knitting and that you use patterns in the way they were meant to be used and not follow them in this white-knuckled way that I've seen people do. I got the gauge and I'm following this pattern. And you know, your gauge varies a little bit depending on your mood, depending on your blood sugar, depending on what your teenage son has just said to you. And so I want you to feel more freedom by developing your own skills and your own style. And I'm hoping that I can be a person who helps you do that, particularly with sweaters. Thank you for joining me, and enjoy your knitting.
Today's episode of This Knitting Life is brought to you by a grant of time and energy from Cheryl, Brunette, knitting videographer.
We have wires up the kazoo here. The tip of the teeth, the lips, and the gums. The tip of the teeth, the lips, and the gums. Okay then, which side of the camera?